My colleague and friend, Rabbi Epstein, who is the Director of Education of North American Pardes North America, and is just a wonderful Talmud teacher and beyond thinker and Jewish leader. And it's a wonderful opportunity to have the time to talk with you here. So.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So both of us have dedicated our lives, or major segments of our lives, to helping others engage in Torah learning. Why is Torah learning for adults valuable? Meaning, on any given night of the week, let's just use nights as an example, I can go to a basketball game, I can go to the movies, I can go to the opera, nothing against those things. Why would I choose to dedicate time to Torah learning? Why is that actually important and valuable?
Yeah, I think it's such an important question, and I really appreciate that we're going to have this conversation. First of all, I think that people want it. That's what I think is interesting. I think that from my experience, and I'm very lucky to be teaching that for many years, and I get to go all over North America and meet lots of different kinds of Jews and different people in different communities. And what I have found is people want to feel deeply connected to Judaism. What they don't necessarily know is that Torah study can be a vehicle to gain that deep connection. And I think there's something very intimidating for many people about deep Torah study. And it feels too hard, and there are too many prerequisites, and the bar is too high. I have to jump over too many things to do it. So it feels like the last thing I would choose maybe, but I actually am deeply searching for a way to connect to my Judaism and have it be meaningful. So I almost feel like it's like a well-kept secret. Like, by the way, Torah study is a great way to deepen your connection to Judaism, which I think many people are looking for.
Right, because it's normally I have to engage in ritual, or I have to engage in nonprofit work or boards, whatever the case is. But I'm not the intellectual type, or I don't have that knowledge base, right? So how do I believe? Right. But will they? How would you make the case that someone's going to come out with something valuable out of this that can compare to other experiences?
Right. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I get that a lot. People ask me a lot, like. Yeah. Learning Talmud, like why would I learn the Talmud? It's going to be about some pit and some cow falling into a pit, and it's not relevant to my life. Right. But actually, one of the things I think is so incredible about learning Torah is that you start to see the questions that we think we're struggling with. We think that they're new for 2018. Right. They're actually real age-old questions. Yeah. They're the universal questions of the world. How do I be a good person? What does it mean to lead? What's my responsibility to my community? How do I protect my family? What does it mean to be in a loving, committed relationship? These are questions that have been asked forever. And we sometimes the answers are different. Right. But what's interesting about Torah and Torah study is understanding how much my story is part of a larger universal story, a larger Jewish story, and an age-old Jewish story.
Yeah. If someone asked me what's the biggest crisis in America, I could probably list 1,000. But one of my top 3 would be the inability for us to create space to talk and reflect. Right. And I think to embrace wisdom that enables us to reflect on those big questions, like you said, of love and commitment and all facets of our lives. And I think that we just run a rat race. Yeah. And I think Torah study is intellectual, it's spiritual, but it's also interpersonal, it's relational. Right. And it provides a space for us to pause and return to those big questions in a way that Jews have for a long time. But look, I can go sit alone and read Shakespeare, so why shouldn't I do that? I think and sometimes you have to really experience it to know what we're talking about. In abstract, it's really difficult. But I think the next question I'd ask is, our society's really broken today, right? You've lived in Israel for many years, and we have challenges in Israel. But just looking here at North America, America right now is in a very sort of toxic culture. And I wonder how the study of Torah might help us to address some of these societal challenges we have.
Yeah, it's so important. And I actually think Torah is the answer right now for this time period, because a couple of things. One is Torah has the capacity to bring together Jews who wouldn't normally speak with each other. We just came off of a really exciting moment. We just had a class here, and we just got to see, I think, real moments where people who don't necessarily know each other or have encountered each other before got to have a conversation around text. And And we didn't, what's interesting, and this is something that's very important to us at Pardes, is about bringing different kinds of Jews together around a shared common heritage and text. But we don't have to shy away from the things that are different about us. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes when we do that, when the danger somewhat of like, oh, let's just bring lots of different Jews together, is that we actually don't talk about what makes us different. And what Torah study does, because it forces us to really engage and really delve deep into the text, it actually asks us to say, no, have an opinion. It doesn't say to us, oh, check your opinions at the door. Yeah, Torah and learning Torah with people who are different than us actually says, you are different than me, and I am different than you, and I have a perspective, but I can learn from your perspective. And I think we're really afraid to do that today. I think we're really afraid to lower our guard and be vulnerable to each other and to say, I have something to learn from you. Wherever we are, I think we're scared to do that. And so Torah and learning Torah together with Jews who are different than us actually says to us, of course we're going to disagree. It's like a given. And this text, because it is so deep, and I want to also claim, ancient, that level of depth, complexity, and also sort of long-term delving that we can do as Jews with this text really affords an opportunity to encounter each other in a different way. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So, right, today you're Reform or you're Orthodox, I don't want to talk to you, or you're conservative, you're liberal, I don't want to talk to you. And I think that Torah learning done in this healthy manner is a way to provide a space for relationship building and for talking and for learning how to disagree. Now, the rabbis weren't always amazing at disagreeing respectfully, but they created a framework. The disagreement is healthy and normal, and you stay in the room. For the most part, you stay in the room and talk through it, and that's okay.
And I think, sorry to...
Yeah, please, yeah.
I think one other thing that's really important in that is that there's so much more we do agree on than that we don't agree on. And I think sometimes in the Jewish community, we err on the side of thinking about where we're different, and not enough time is spent thinking about where we agree. But not that we have to agree, but that we have common values. And how do we work out those values in our disagreements?
Yeah. So we're in an epistemological crisis in America today, where the rejection of truth, the rejection of empirical data to back up claims, and that touches on this ability that to not really be in conversation with each other, not to have to actually back up things, just make claims and walk away. How does Torah? I mean, this is a huge question. But how does Torah think about truth in this regard? I mean, how can Torah study help us to sort of renew the value of truth today?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I really want to hear what you have to say about this. But I think it's really interesting to think about Torah simultaneously understands that we need to be searching for a truth, and that human truth will always be imperfect. Right? We were discussing this very famous text in Genesis Rabba about throwing truth to the ground and having truth grow up from the ground. And there's a real acknowledgement on the part of the rabbis that human beings are imperfect. And actually, they were supposed to be. The story of Adam, in the garden is about imperfection. And we're not going to be perfect, and we're not divine, even as we strive for more truth and we strive for bringing more divinity into our lives. And so living in that knowledge of I need to keep searching for truth, and I'm never going to get there 100%, that's a really interesting tension. And what I think Torah does for us is it says, please understand, therefore, that since I'm not holding the whole truth, I have to look for your truth. I have to ask you for your truth. But I want to go further a little bit and say, but I also have to demand that we continue being better. I can't just stay in my own truth and not grow. I have to be growing up from the ground. I have to be constantly bettering. And for that, I have to trust myself. I think what's interesting about that, if I'm really going to grow, what do you think about this? If I'm really going to grow, I have to trust my own instincts.
Right. Yeah. I saw this Rav Kook recently where he says, we say, Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. The first thing we say when we wake up, that God is living and eternal. And that this is something for us to emulate in how we think of our truth, that we should have an absolutist perspective of maintaining a commitment to eternal truths and also be evolving and growing. And those two are not on the opposite ends of a dichotomy, actually. They're really interwoven. This sense of growing by listening to others, by listening to our own impulse, our own instincts, and understanding that our commitment to truth is also that a commitment that we haven't finished. Right. That the truth, as you said so beautifully, the truth enterprise isn't done, and so I'm committed to arguing and defending for the best truth I can grasp today, understanding it's insufficient. I think the dangers we have today on two different ends are those who say truth doesn't matter,
right?
And it's totally relativistic and nobody can really grasp any of it, so we don't have to really defend or research or understand. And those who say, I haven't figured out, I have the absolute truth. And this middle ground is saying, I have something really powerful that I want to defend, but we need to be in argumentation. We need to be in research. We need to be learning.
Right.
And I think that it seems like the whole Torah learning enterprise is about that. Is continuing to get data to make your point, to continue to refine. There's people who want to, change that on all ends. But I think that Torah learning at its best can do that.
Right, and I think that what the fear is in what we're saying, the danger perhaps is in either stagnating or, like you're saying, becoming totally relativist. Because we all have a truth, and actually part of what Torah, I think, is charging us to do now is to get involved, to become engaged, to be activated, and the Torah that I think, the act of learning Torah can be about us choosing to be active, choosing to be engaging with each other, and being vulnerable. We have to be willing to be vulnerable to another person, to another thought that's not our own, and really using Torah to build, as opposed to either wall ourselves off from each other or to tear down.
Beautiful. So my last question for you, based on this, what you just shared, how can Torah be destructive? Yeah. How can Torah learning cause damage, and how do we prevent that?
Yeah, I think that for me, that's what rabbinic texts are really about. The desire by the rabbis of the Mishnah, and even more so the Talmud, to say, we're not wrapping everything up into a neat little bow. When I think when Torah comes in neat little packages that are easy and simple, it's dangerous because those become ways to close off voices. But when Torah comes in a complex, multivocal, sometimes not the message I want. Sometimes it's not going to be all tied up in a neat little bow, but it's going to be hard, and it's going to ask me to grow and to move, and stay humble. As long as I stay humble in that, I think that's where it can be constructive and not destructive. And when we use it, either when it's too pretty and neat, or it becomes a hammer, then it can destroy, and it can. Yeah.
So I think also holding on to this notion of Torah Lishma, that we're learning without an agenda, like you said, that we might not get to the conclusion that we want. Right? If it's honest and it's humble, that we're just learning for the sake of learning, and also holding on to a sense that the process of learning matters, that we create space for other voices to enter in, as you said, multifocal, and that we're working on our character in the process of our own humility, our own compassion, our intellectual and spiritual virtues. And I think holding on to both is that there is an agenda. We should become better. The world should become better through this enterprise. But also, we're not just using the text to just give us a simple conclusion that can be destructive. And so, I came to learn that I could learn Torah the wrong way. That I could learn Torah and come out more certain of myself and more closed-minded, and that actually, as important of a question as how am I going to learn Torah, is actually how really am I going to learn Torah? Not where am I going to go and what am I going to do, but what am I going to bring of myself into this? So I wish you so much continued bracha in your journeys and teaching and guiding this adult learning experience nationally, internationally, and God willing, more people in the North American Jewish community and beyond will come to see that learning Torah is one of the most powerful vehicles for changing ourselves, for Jewish continuity, and for changing the world also.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor to learn with you always. Thank you. Thank you.